Hello, Galaxy. I'm Chris Pirillo, and in tech news today, Meta, aka Facebook, the owners of Instagram and every other popular app on the planet, seemingly, has decided to roll out verification features that you can pay for. This sounds familiar, doesn't it? Yeah, apparently they're doing it, and that's, of course, stirred up controversy because they're not the first company to charge for verification, but there's some caveats here, and I want to talk through it because I don't think it's as bad an idea as some people have been making it out to be. I mean, there's some people who are always going to push back for paying for anything. Like, you can't listen to those folks. You really can't. There are people who don't like Facebook. Fine, that's your prerogative. There are people who don't like services they don't want to buy into. No problem. I will also say this. If you find value in something, absolutely pay for it. Support it in the way that you want to support it. That's key. That's critical. So just because I don't want to buy something doesn't mean you shouldn't want to buy something, and vice versa, right? I think we have enough healthy respect for boundaries to understand that my choices may not be yours. So this is less about the conversation around choice and more about how is this different, or do you perceive it as different? I've got my take. You probably have yours. Feel free to drop a comment. It's a good conversation to certainly have. Behind me, you can see the live stream at live.pirillo.com. You can join fellow geeks and nerds 24/7 playing video games. Right now, we have 3 people playing Minecraft at the same time on the same screen. Live.pirillo.com. Ow. Yes, it still exists. That'll redirect you to where the live video feed's happening on Twitch currently. Okay, so Twitter, aka Elon Musk, had rolled out the idea of paying $8 a month for a verification status, right? And I use air quotes specifically because it's not really verification apart from verifying that you have $8 of monthly discretionary income. That's it. That's all you're verifying. You're not verifying you're human. You're not verifying you're a company. You're just verifying that you have $8 to throw around. And you get some features. Cool. I'm fine with that. I was okay with paying for Twitter Blue for a month. Now, this is before Elon took over. But after a month, I think it was maybe even a week into paying, what was it? Was it $5 originally? I can't even remember, but it was largely to edit tweets. And again, I use air quotes because it was just a catastrophic rollout of a basic feature. And I was like, this is not worth paying for. So I haven't paid for Twitter from the beginning. I see absolutely no reason for me to currently pay for Twitter because even with the value of a badge, even if I did not have a legacy verification status, it's not enough. Like, that's just, it's not enough. Now, if they start really truly rolling out features like you will absolutely show up more frequently in a feed, or you will absolutely be prioritized in this way, shape, or form, then yeah, it becomes a little more valuable to me because I do still use Twitter. I have no problem paying Twitter for something. And I know some people are going to be angry at that, right? But it's got to be value relative to me. Understand, though, my biggest pushback with the idea that a blue badge is quote-unquote verification on Twitter, it's because you're not verifying anything. What are you verifying? Like I said, nothing. You're verifying nothing apart from you having money to spend, and you're interested in having spent that money on Twitter to get a blue badge, as they call it, right? The blue check, whatever. So at some point in the future, I may very well go down that path as well, but it's got to be able to deliver value to me. Now, if the value to you is a status symbol, okay, cool. That's, again, you're paying for that. You're saying you have the money to throw around specifically for a status symbol. But it's asinine. Sorry, let me reframe that. Beyond asinine to call a blue check at this stage a quote-unquote verification badge. You're not verified. Now let's move to the meta conversation, right? So Zuckerberg comes out today and says, the time of this recording, and says, hey, we're going to be rolling out a verification badge, or effectively a blue badge on Meta as well. And when he says Meta, it's Facebook and it's Instagram. Now, I am verified. I am legacy verified on those platforms because I've had some problems with people coming along and saying they were me when they weren't really me. So I've gone through the process of actually providing, information to be able to verify and validate my status. I had to do that for Twitter as well, for whatever it's worth. So I have been truly verified, not necessarily newly quote-unquote verified. So they're rolling it out, Meta, and they're not just saying, hey, you can pay $15 a month if you're on iOS. There's the Apple tax, I assume. And I'd also assume that would also apply for Android, though they didn't mention Android in this brief announcement. Or $12 on, quote unquote, the web, or assumedly a desktop, Mac, PC, whatever. So you would, if you wanted to buy into it, you would probably not want to buy into it directly on iOS because you can save $3 a month. So here's the thing they're doing differently. And this is a clear differentiator, and that goes to my original complaint and many people's original complaint with Twitter. It's not paying for it. Pay for what you want, but call it what it is. Now, Meta, this is the differentiator, is going to, if you want to do this, you have to furnish ID. You actually have to give them identification. This is me. This is what I pay. Here's ID. Here you go. Here's my ID. You got it. You got to do it. If you want that, you got to do it. So it is more truly verification, because you have to provide some form of a valid ID in order to get that badge. Now, I'm sure some people are going to cheat it. They're going to figure out a way around the system, but at least they are taking that step. That I feel was the way it should have been done with Twitter. Wasn't done because, of course, that would have taken work. And how are you gonna get people to work when you've already shrunk your workforce at Twitter, like by magnitudes? I don't know. So Meta, I believe, is going the right direction. They're laying out features that could very well help in the sense that, yes, you can get verified. Sorry, I just knocked a little Lego set onto the ground there. This is the problem when you are Italian and gesticulate wildly. I'll be building that later live when we record TLDR on live.pirillo.com. So you're paying for the badge, but you're also proving that the badge that you get on Meta, aka Facebook and Instagram, is true. It is a true verification badge because you had to furnish some kind of identification. But you also get priority support. That's a big deal. So, the problem that even creators like me have, sometimes we get lost in the shuffle and we need help. And being able to pay for support if you use those platforms is a valid reason to pay. That's absolutely. There are times that I would ask for these companies if that I use their services for free. I'm like, hey, can I pay you to get service, and help instead of getting lost in the shuffle? So that is a huge boon for everybody if you happen to be a power user. Now, I don't know a lot of Facebook power users. I mean, they are out there, and there are people who do it, certainly for Facebook groups. A lot of people are still very active in Facebook groups. But many creators, I've got notifications going off left and right. Many creators use Instagram. Instagram's very, very popular. I may not use it as frequently as they do. I do post reels there and the shorts and everything, and I do post photos as well. But I don't want to get into the algorithm talk. It's another topic for another day. They use Instagram. So for creators to be able to step through the process to get priority support, that's a big deal. So if you're a creator, I feel that it's a wise decision, or would be a wise business decision, to spend the money to be quote unquote verified on Meta. Now, if you don't, fine. If you're not, you're just a casual user, it doesn't make any sense. It's just that at that point it's a status symbol. But there's a stark contrast between what Facebook's doing with paying for verification and the value they're providing and how they're going about applying that verification and that process, as opposed to how Twitter, I believe, has just completely bungled the idea. It was a good idea, and hopefully more value will be pumped into the verification system. And I use that in loose terms when it comes to Twitter. Over time, I do hope for more value, because I would like to pay into that. I would like to be able to. I'm sitting here. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying, look, let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's be direct about this. And I was direct about this, and I have been direct about it. And someone I feel got their feelings hurt on Twitter. Look, verification just means you're just verified on Twitter. You're just verified to have spent $8 a month. Great. Verification on Meta. And it's not a challenge of paying for something that you want, but call it what it is. Verification on Meta, you've already stepped through the process, and you get value out of it because you get priority support and all the other benefits they're probably going to be enumerating over the coming months, if not years. So this is interesting because I'd imagine more platforms, if they haven't already, and I haven't heard about them because I may not use them, will be rolling something like this out. And as long as there is value packed in that subscription service, you should have no problem paying for it if you find value in it. But be careful about calling something that it's not. If you validated and verified and it's called verified, then you're verified. That's verification. But if there's no verification, stop calling it verified. Apart from having spent the money.